teaching me how to stay a better artist, a truer artist. So good. Oh.
Yeah. As a bit of a sidebar, but Elly, you're gonna be directing when she's what, about 5 months old?
6 months, I think.
6
Yeah.
So
wow.
things obviously
we'll
should
see
be
what happens.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Stages.
It's all going to be an adventure.
Yeah, that's all. You evolve.
Yeah, you evolve with your backstage babies.
That's right.
And every parent is different too. There's something worth talking about. I know there are moms who are like, I need my life compartmentalized. I need there to be the childcare in place, and I need to be in the space. And then other moms feel like they can live more fully, and all parents, not just moms, right? Live more fully if there's some sort of flexibility. Like their kids can be close by, or childcare falls through, they bring them into the space. And I love you talking about feeling comfortable watching on Skype and engaging with a video, because that's important to me. It comes back to, and we can reconnect this back to having support in your life, to have agency over saying, this is how I want to engage in motherhood and my career for me, as opposed to, prescription placed on you. So were there things in your life, in your motherhood, as your kids get older and as the phases change, that surprised you in terms of how you engaged with your work?
Yeah, I do feel like, it's so funny. You can be good at both. You can be good at both at the same time. You can want to focus on one a little harder, these 6 months, and then those 6 months, at least this is what I'm finding, and I feel like I see that I've been since September up until now, it's almost May, I've been banging it out basically, as far as theater goes and shooting things goes and recording, but that I feel like I kind of want my summer to be a little bit more free, and I want to be with my kids, I see that it's just all in flux, you know what I mean, and you can just see you're kind of juggling all these balls, and it's sort of like waves, right, where it's okay, now motherhood is rising a little bit and that tide is going down, I don't know how to explain it other than that I see right now, literally right now, if you ask me today, if I look at my boys and I see them with their little ball caps and backpacks coming up my steps with their aunt, and I'm like, I feel like I really need to be around them a little bit more right now, but it's first of all, you can't choose and predict what projects as an actor necessarily come your way, and probably not even necessarily as a director, but a little bit more maybe, but I guess I do see, you ask me how have I seen that change, I think as they become more independent, I'm able to do more. I'm able to bring them on auditions without worrying as much. I know that they'll sit and color, or they'll read, or they'll sit with their iPad a little bit more. I don't stress as much if it's an audition with a lot of copy. I trust that they won't scream and open the audition room door and come in. So those things, I feel like I can incorporate them more. But I'm a little jealous of the moms who didn't hesitate to bring their kids in at the younger life, but again, like you say, it's different for every mom, and for me, it stressed me out more, thinking oh my gosh, they're gonna separation anxiety right now, when they were 1.5, 1.5, 2, right. They won't stay in the back of PR, even though PR is so beautiful and wonderful and says we'll watch them. I'm but I can hear them from the room when I'm slating my name, and I hear Dawson screaming, and he's not okay with that right now.
Right. And it all just goes back to knowing your kids, knowing yourself.
Right.
And
it
knowing
changes.
And it changes as they change. It changes from
evolves.
parent to parent. Totally. And so, staying on this thread of this evolution in the motherhood experience, Elly, is there anything about motherhood and your artistry where you've noticed a connection between the two, or something that is, that is presently on your mind at this point in time with a newborn?
I mean, I think it's very early days for me, because I haven't really combined the two.
Sure.
So far I directed 2 shows when I was pregnant,
Wow.
which is sort of a different thing, which it does change maybe the way that you are in the room a little bit, or I think actually for me freed me from worrying about some of the little kind of details, or some of the things that you might end up getting stressed about on a process, just sort of fall off a little bit because
absolutely.
And just like the storytelling, the play I did in the fall was about abortion in America and America's relationship to abortion, and I started that play when I was, you know, sort of 4 months pregnant before I could even tell my cast that I was pregnant, you know. So I had a whole journey with that show of, and then halfway through the rehearsals being like, surprise!
So now that we're talking about a few,
of course, yeah, and they were delighted. But it was, you know, it's the content of the play, and like, and then we do Yan, and it's impossible to direct and watch a play like that, which ultimately is about, whatever the cause of it is about neglect. Even if you can see how that neglect has come to pass, or you can empathise with it, you're still watching, you know, young people who haven't had the support that they need and therefore have become traumatised or violent, you know, themselves in response. And it's hard to watch, you know, that sort of like story of and that vulnerability and not connect it to be like, hey, I'm about to bring another person into the world, and what world am I bringing that person in, you know, into, and how will I protect them from all of these things? So yeah, impossible to be, you know, 9 months pregnant and not but you know, I think that also it's interesting, isn't it? It's impossible once you're really pregnant like that for people to not also be aware of you, and and it was great. Like, no one treated me like delicately or anything, but also I do feel like there was like a warmth and a bonding that happened in the room
because of it.
Because everyone was, obviously we were engaged on this really important like storytelling art project. And then like but everyone was also on board this like other little project, you know? And everyone was looking out for me and you know, helping me get up and sit down, and all those just little things which actually that's like almost an automatic like little team building exercise in itself.
Totally.
So
about listening in the room.
Right.
And it's we talk about pregnancy. I talk about pregnancy a lot with people about how it's one of the parented situations that you can't make invisible. You know, at a certain point.
That's right.
It is
not I remember your
invisible.
stories.
Yeah,
where auditioning.
Right, and so like it enters the room before I do.
Yeah.
Right. Quite literally, it's in front of me.
Yeah.
But I love this idea where other people have felt, you know, artistically or professionally, people move away from them because their presence is changing.
Yeah.
What you're sharing is a wonderful example of what the opposite effect could be, which is that, you know, not treating you delicately, or, you know, you losing any authority in the room.
Not at all.
It just reminded us to be present, and that I mean, you're kind of blowing my mind right now. The reason why I'm repeating what you're saying is because I don't want to forget this or lose this point of you saying that because they were aware of your humanity in the space, they were connecting to something happening live while they're creating something live.
Absolutely.
And connecting to one another.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah. To help someone down and up. That your heart has to stay generous. You know, it has to stay open. This spot has to stay open. And like I said, it's kind of what a perfect way to articulate how the presence of a pregnant body or a parenting body can be an asset in the room.
Yeah,
definitely.
Thank you.
And I don't know, obviously, I don't know how that will then translate in the future, but I'm sure you must feel this too, Tiffany. Once people know that you're a parent, as soon as you're having those conversations about parenting, you know, people, you know, you get like some extra, you know, respect from people, but maybe also some extra sort of like fear like comes in because people don't want to say the wrong thing to you, or like
absolutely. Like, and especially, you know, the other 3 people in the cast are young. They're, you know, 22, and they've been very supportive, you know, with that. But but I think they do wonder, like, well, what can you say around someone who's a mom?
Sure.
You know, so we can say anything, and you know, and you bring it together. But I think generally, haven't you experienced? I think mostly respect, right, out there in the Chicago acting world, I think, you know, there are a lot of parents, a lot of artists, theater artist parents around. So, you know, we try to become a network for each other and support for each other. Yeah. Speaking of support, to do that.
There's a lot of female directors who are also mothers.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's lots of, you know, male directors who are fathers as well. You know,
right.
But if you sort of think about like what your sort of inspirational list of directors are in Chicago, like actually think about that list, and half of those people are moms.
Yeah,
you know?
I loved living in Chicago for that reason. When I had my second, I very quickly found parent artists who were actively working, and I know it's not perfect, you know, because we talked about people. It's why we need a network, etc. But Chicago is unique in that it is at least working toward creating a culture that
culture, I would say.
Yeah, that allows for life and theater along a long-term path. Do you know what I mean? Where it's not this flash in the pan, upper trajectory instantly. But that at the very least, with the Chicago theater culture, I do feel at the very least an attempt to engage with this idea of what happens if we let life in while we're pursuing work and while we're working, and I'm grateful even just for the attempt. You know, even when it feels difficult, a bit, totally. But even with the young people asking like, what can you say to a parent? Just that awareness of I want to do right. By you, and can go so far because then you let the parent be the expert on their own experience, and you're in the right place to hear from the people who need to. So tell me a little bit more about what you hope people get from Yen as an artistic project, as professionals working on this super cool piece.
I'm very reticent to say, you know, this is what the play means, or you know, this is the message of the play in any way, because I feel like everyone is going to go in there and they are going to take not only a different message away, but a different story away. The play is full of really lovely ambiguities in terms of why things happen and what is happening, and but certainly, you know, the best feedback that I've had from people is that we have found like the humanity and the humour and the warmth in the play, which on the page can seem very harsh, very violent. I think, and I think our production has tried to absolutely embrace that and honour that, but also make sure that these people, you know, all feel like as complicated as they are, you know, in the writing, that they are that complicated on stage. And so I don't know. I don't want to say this is what the play is saying about parenthood. I think that's absolutely going to be a different takeaway for every audience member. But it's definitely raising the question of what happens when a parent is absent, and what happens when a parent carries resentment, you know, potentially for their children or for the circumstances of their life, you know, and you know that bears out upon their children. What happens when a parent when a parent becomes a child and needs their children's support, like it's there's so many questions that the play is asking.
Absolutely. And I totally would piggyback on that. I just think, and I feel this way, I guess if you could have a personal mission statement, but like just for me with Maggie, as with some other roles that I played, kind of to go back to what we said, but to bring out her humanity and to show her kind of, I guess, without judging her, but to say, you know, and not just Maggie, but the 4 characters in the play, like, can we just not judge people that we see like this out there? Can we think about why they came to be and have some sympathy for how they got to where they are? I think that's kind of what I would hope, and that's what I hope in general. I think that theater does for people, is that we don't that we don't judge the people that we walk out and see on the street. Because it's easy to judge them when you're walking on the street because you don't see their 2 hours of the story.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get to the end of the 2 hours and go, oh, and you clap. But it's like you just walk by someone on the street and you can just judge in a second. So that's kind of how I hope that, you know, people maybe don't judge mothers who don't have the support.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I
to
love
ask
that.
why. And to ask maybe how I can help support. How can I help support other mothers?
That's incredible. So, the humanity that is behind these actions and how support can change, you know, the outcomes of what actions could be, makes me really excited to see this play. And thank you both so much for your motherhood and your insight and your artistry. And the coffee, really, and the time to meet with me. I think this is.
Thank you for building this community and helping to facilitate
a pleasure.
This community in the ways that you guys do.
A pleasure. We're all doing it for each other. All right, thank you so much. There's going to be more mom coffee soon.